The Great White Fleet was a naval operation commissioned by President Theodore Roosevelt that departed in 1907 to peacefully promote America's military strength. America had recently claimed its position as a world power in 1898 after victory in the Spanish-American War and the acquisition of the Philippines and Guam in the Pacific and Puerto Rico in the Caribbean. This led Roosevelt's belief that America needed to expand and improve the country's fleet to protect its interests. This included the rising tension between America and Japan after Roosevelt mediated the Treaty of Portsmouth in 1906 that had ended the Russo-Japanese War. Japan believed the terms were too lenient on the defeated Russians and blamed Roosevelt. With conflict on the horizon, Roosevelt believed that a show of military and naval strength to both Japan and the world was necessary. The idea was to send a naval fleet to circumnavigate the world that would arrive at a plethora of countries with the intent to encourage friendly relations with the United States and to be a show of strength to Japan. This was a demonstration of Roosevelt's famous big stick diplomacy, summed up by his famous quote, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." This meant that it is best for a country to have strong military force during peacetime and diplomatic interactions. In terms of the Great White Fleet, the big stick was a strong naval fleet, which spoke softly by coming in peace. While intended to be a show of force to convince Japan that war with America was not worth any potential gain, some felt that it would have the opposite effect and encourage an attack from Japan. One person felt this way was Eugene Hale, senator from Maine and chairman of the Naval Appropriations Committee, who refused to provide funds for the fleet. Roosevelt responded that he already had the money and dared Congress to try and get it back. Despite how costly an exhibition, the Great White Fleet set sail due to the fact that no one was aware of Roosevelt's plan for the fleet to circumnavigate the world. This included the president's own cabinet. All anyone but a few high-ranking naval officers knew was that the fleet would be heading for the east to west coast in a training exercise. This disguised the fleet's true purpose and allowed the journey to occur. The fleet consisted of 16 steam-powered battleships, divided into 4 squadrons and 2 divisions, under the command of Rear Admiral Robley Evans and later Rear Admiral C.M. Thomas, as Evans was forced to step down due to gout. The journey took 14 months and covered a total distance of 43,000 miles, making it, at the time, the largest naval deployment ever embarked. The fleet left port in Virginia on December 16, 1907, to begin the first leg of its journey. On December 23rd, the fleet made its first stop at the port of Spain in Trinidad, a small island near Venezuela. There, most of the sailors discovered that Trinidad lacked the liberty they were used to in America. One sailor marked, "When we pulled in, there were no people around, and almost everything was closed up. Just one building was open that had any beer in it. By the time we made it to shore, the stuff was hot as hell. It was like drinking boiler water." This leg continued making stops at Brazil, Peru, Venezuela, and Mexico, ending in San Francisco. The fleet began its second leg through the Puget Sound, where 16 ships split up to visit 6 different ports in Washington before returning to San Francisco. Here they began the third leg of their journey. Departing on July 7, 1908, the fleet left for the Pacific, making stops at Hawaii, Australia, the Philippines, New Zealand, Japan, and China. This was the most obvious outreach for diplomacy with Japan. Japan turned out to be very accommodating. Officers of the fleet were taken to the Emperor's Palace, and the ship's captains were given suites and elegant imperial hotel. This hospitality and peaceful interactions helped with Japanese relations, both during and after the Great White Fleet's travels. This third leg took about 4 months and concluded on November 7th when the ships landed in the Philippines at Manila. They left Manila on December 1st of the same year and set out on the final leg of their journey. This leg included the least amount of stops, stopping in Ceylon, Egypt, Gibraltar, and ending back in Virginia on February 22, 1909. The Great White Fleet's journey around the world bolstered the American people's pride and trust in the Navy and military while easing tensions with Japan that eventually led to America and Japan taking the Allied side in World War I.